So welcome to this webinar. This is Professor Ashok SOM. The topic of today is the challenges of creation of, the challenges of creating business idea in the luxury and fashion industry. We have a great line of speakers, but first let me give a slight plan for what we are going to do today so that we know how we are going to spend the next 1 hour with you all. So this is a topic on entrepreneurship because ESSEC Business School has a long-standing history on creating entrepreneurs, and our new strategy is to boost this part of the program so that it encompasses most of the programs, in fact all the programs where there would be a topic of entrepreneurship embedded in the program. Having said that, I am also the academic director of Executive Masters in Luxury Management Program, and today our panelists are all from alumni from this program. What we want to do today is the agenda, which is a very simple agenda I have set so that we have more time to discuss. First is the introduction, where I will try to introduce the topic. I'll try to give some perspectives, and I would like to give a path so that our panelists who are our alumni can speak on their experiences and their ways of understanding about the topic. So we have the first topic as perspectives from a recent startup. The recent startup has, I think, started not even 6 months before, maybe a little less. Then we have perspectives from not so recent startup, which is maybe 1 year more. Then we have an ongoing startup, which is a little bit more mid-term, which is around 2 to 3 years. And then we have perspectives from a very successful company in a different part of the globe, which is in Latin America and the US. And then what I'll try to do is I will try to conclude and discuss any points that are still needed to be discussed. And if you have any questions, we will spend some time on that. So this is our agenda for today. And I think that we will have a great discussion because we have kept it very simple in terms of perspectives, in terms of experiences, and in terms of our thought regarding this topic about entrepreneurship and challenges and opportunities in the luxury and fashion industry when we start something new. The first topic which I have is I use the term LCM, which is the lowest common multiple in maths, but my first point is what is the lowest common multiple of the following brand. So I have 4 into 6, 24 brands, and usually when I show this in class, we can talk about many different things. We can talk about they are all luxury brands. Some of you will say these are all fashion brands. Some of you will say that they are of very high quality. Someone will say that they are mostly Italian and French. So all are true. But what I say most is an important aspect which we forget, that all of these brands are, or the names are all names of people. So not one of them is a name of anything which is not connected to people. In fact, I thought that Lacoste may be not of people, but I checked and it's also a name of a person. Calvin Klein, of course. Fendi, she's still alive. The descendants of Fendi. Dior is Christian Dior. Givenchy is Givenchy. Miu Miu, I thought that maybe Miu Miu is not a name of a person, but then I checked and I saw that Miu Miu is the pet name of Muccio Prada. So everyone is the name, and this is why we find that it is very interesting in the luxury and fashion business that the person who creates the brand, who creates the concept, his or her name is attached to the brand forever. So this is from where we start, that why luxury brands and fashion brands are different and what makes them different in this creative industry. Having said that, if you see the data is speaks for itself, where we see that From 1950 onwards, I have plotted the quarterly GDP growth in the United States from 1950 to 2019 in percent adjusted for inflation. So this is the first chapter of my book, which is called The Road to Luxury. When we see that, we see there are different ways of analyzing where the GDP growth has been positive, has been negative, and all the shocks that we see are in the negative part. And this is in 2020, it's a time when it's negative. So I have extended it to 2019. Now we will extend it to 2020, and then we'll see that again it's a year which is not so great in the last, let's say, 70 years. So in the luxury business, a moot point in the field of luxury business is whether or not it follows a business cycle. So there are two sides of the aspect. Some people say that those who are in the motion would say that will argue that the luxury industry is today a global business, and that is why it affects the luxury business. And those who are against the motion will argue that luxury business is not like any other business, but it's a special type of business. It's a creative industry business where creative people are involved, and that is why people who are wealthy, who have disposable income, would always have disposable income and would always try to be in this business either in the demand side or in the supply side. So both the things exist, and it is dependent on enhanced disposable income, which is perhaps the most important point at this present discussion, that when you have disposable income, what do you do in terms of an idea? So I also plotted this time the value of personal luxury goods segment from 1996 to 2019. 1996 is a special year when the luxury industry was formed. There were other brands, but at that point of time, it turned out to be conglomerates, which is LVMH, Kering, Richemont. They started acquiring brands and becoming conglomerates. And if you see the graph, it is a hockey stick type of curve, which goes straight upwards. So again, if we argue that there may be blips, but it is going on for quite a point of time if we take a time period and a time scale of more than 20 years or 30 years. When we do this, we see what are the challenges. Some challenges which we discuss in the book, which were referred to, which is the road to luxury. We again see the same thing in terms of the conglomerate structure. We see LVMH, which is going up. We see Richemont, which is going up. We see Kering and its brands, which is going up. And the idea from these three can be interpreted in a company which is discussed at this present point of time, a company called Farfetch, which has launched the e-commerce business of luxury. And this company is being discussed as we speak because Alibaba has just invested 300 million in this company yesterday. And Eurazeo, which is a French investment company, has just exited from Farfetch today, I think, or yesterday, which marks the growth of the company. When we met the CEO of Farfetch, he was saying that I believe in this company, I think that it will do great. And people were saying that no one would buy luxury goods in an e-commerce business. But post-COVID, we see that this is what the reality is. And today's discussion speaks on this topic, that 35% of the sales of luxury good is now in the e-commerce business. So this is why you see this again, hockey stick curve. When we see this, so this is an opportunity for many because this business didn't exist 7-8 years before. People were trying to tell people that yes, it can exist, but no one was believing it. But today it's a reality, and you see there are three main groups which consists of more than 100 brands. The more than 100 brands are more or less 80% of the luxury business is actually in the e-commerce business, which we see from the data as of today. When we do this, we see the stage today, the current environment where we are all now. So there are the forces. Today, yesterday, and today we are seeing the US elections happening. People are discussing, even schools, children are discussing what is going to happen, the red and the blue. Trump has already announced that he has won. and though the election is not over. So we see that there are a lot of forces which is happening in the macroeconomic part. The industry forces is also playing its own way, because the luxury business and the fashion business has its own way of discourse, which is not essentially same as automobile business, or for example the cement business or the airlines business, though they may be connected. The market forces are also changing because of the pandemic, and the key trends which we see is also changing as we speak. So in this area, when we speak about the forces, we see that the current environment has some opportunities: rational consumption and strategies for overcoming the COVID crisis, new business models in the luxury and fashion industry is coming up, and I think that there is scope in this business where we think that there could be something for everyone to see and to feel and to explore, so that there could be niches in this part of the creative industry which we are interested in. So let me now introduce our entrepreneurs, the alumni of EMiLUX, who have taken this opportunity today, yesterday, day before, and in the past, who have done something in this area where we just spoke about in the discourse. So we have Mulham. Mulham is the founder and CEO of La Maison du Neuf. He is from Syria and France. So he came from Syria, and he will introduce himself because of the Syrian crisis, and he created his own niche in France, for example. It's very recent. Perspectives of not so recent startup, it is Nicolas. Nicolas Desmoulins was a consultant before for 20 years, and he founded Desmoulins Paris in France. We have an ongoing startup with Sarah Bannadi, who worked in China and who is now in Italy. So she is the founder of Micro Macro, and she will bring in her perspectives from doing business in different geographic regions. And not last but not the least, Arturo Lomeli. Arturo is the owner of Class Azul Spirits, where he is based in Mexico. He is from Mexico, but his main business is in the US, and he has a successful company he has made from scratch in the last 20 years, and he can tell us about how he did it. So the concept is that we start from the recent and go to what has happened before, and we try to find how it happened, why it happened, and how they could find this niche which could enable them to find this gap in the creative industry space. And we are interested today in the luxury and the fashion space as we speak. So I would now invite Mulham to talk about himself, to talk about how he did it all, about his life journey, and what he thinks are the challenges and opportunities of his strategies during this crisis. So my question to Mulham is, you have come all the way from Syria. In France, you worked with L'Oreal and BNP, did a master's while working, and now you have just launched a restaurant with Syrian Cuisine. Please tell us about your ideas of a startup and your journey in France. Mulham.
Thank you, Professor. Good morning, everybody. My name is Mulham Abou Khair. Sorry, I'm used to speak in French lately. My name is Mulham. I'm from Syria. I left Syria in 2014. The war started in 2011. So I arrived to Paris. I had the chance to work at L'Oreal Paris. I was working in the marketing department for skincare and hair color. Then I did the master's in EMiLUX, executive master's in luxury management. And I was working at that time at BNP Paribas, the bank. At that time, I was working for the sponsoring tennis, because BNP Paribas is the sponsor of Roland Garros. So I was working in this department during the year of 2018, 2019. In 2020, I left BNP Paribas, and I thought I will easily find a job because I graduated from ESSEC. But what happened? The COVID-19 started, and we couldn't do. We had the lockdown in Paris. It was difficult to find a job, so I'm speaking like this because I want to put the to talk more about the entrepreneurial. So I had two ideas. One, I was playing fantasy football, like the Premier League fantasy, even the French fantasy foot. So I thought maybe we can find, because I studied luxury, so people who play tennis, they are like small amount of people who play tennis compared to football. And these people, they want to play the same game the people who play football play. So the people who the companies who sponsor football are, how can I say it? Maybe the opposite. The companies who sponsor tennis, they are bigger and stronger, and they have more the capability to sponsor a game for tennis, because who sponsor Roland Garros? Rolex, Fly Emirates, BNP Paribas. So I started developing a game for fantasy tennis. Like fantasy, that means you choose the players virtually, and these players depends on their actual results. You have points. I applied to La Roche. La Roche, it's an incubator in Paris, and I won a competition last year. And I had the year of 2020. Yes, all this year I was working with them to make the first MVP, the first game. 2 days ago, I applied to La Franche Tech. This is the main incubator in France, and the result will be out in next week. So I'm waiting for a result of the American elections and my result in La Rouge and La Franche Tech. In March, April, I had, because I finished the development commercial, so now the people, my engineers are working on the development and making the game. So I had more time for myself, and I have no job, and I'm staying at home. So I said, as a Syrian, I love food, Syrian food, Lebanese food. So I said, why I can't make a small restaurant with a dream that this restaurant can be a chain, can be something as the example of Starbucks. So we have a small Syrian vegan and vegetarian restaurant in every street in France, in Paris for now, and then in the world. We can target the big hotels, we can target the airports. So we can, and with this idea, we need only a concept. So I looked for some niche food that Syrians love, and they are not so famous, like the knafe. The knafe is Syrian pastry, like Syrian cheesecake. Syrians love it a lot, but it's not famous in France. So this is how can I call it? The product star, the star product that people can be attracted to come, and then they will find all the Syrian food. I bought the restaurant in June this year. I was working on it to make it like to look the maximum I can, so I can open the better I could. So I opened officially in July, August. I worked for 2 months, and now, like, yes, we kept working for delivery. We will see what will happen next. I have some contacts in Germany. Maybe we will open another. So this is the restaurant. It's in 5 Rue Paul Albert in Montmartre, near the Sacré-Cœur, just near the Sacré-Cœur. It's a beautiful place. Working in this restaurant gave me the time to think about what I need in this restaurant. So like, I need wine. People come here in France to drink wine because I'm Syrian restaurant, so they ask me if I have Syrian wine. And Syria is a socialist country. It's like, yes, like it's like better than communist, but like it's the same time socialist. So we don't have private sector in Syria. We have, but like not for everything. So we don't have a private brand of wine. Most of Syrian restaurants here in Paris, they provide Lebanese wine. So here it came the idea, why don't I make a Syrian brand of wine? Because I had the opportunity to study at ESSEC for luxury management, I said, and I know Arturo, and you will see him later. I said, why don't I make a luxurious brand of wine? So now I'm developing this brand. It's named Xenopolis. The grapes are coming from Syria. They are produced in Lebanon, in Bekaa Valley. And they will arrive to France, I think, at the 1st of this year, in January 2021. And we will make the big launch. So for now, that's it.
Thank you, Mulham. So Mulham's, if you understand what Mulham went through in the last 6 years, so he had a family, nice life, everything, and suddenly everything went crashing because of the geopolitical environment. And he came to an entirely different country, learned the language, did his 1-year study in ESSEC, and then he started his own business. He worked in 2 French companies, and he had some ideas, and then he started on with his project. So thank you, Mulham, and it's amazing that you could do this in such a short period of time with your ideas that you have. So next we progress to the next step, which is Nicolas Demula. Nicolas has been in the consulting business for 20 years, and he has started something which is very, very interesting, as you will see just now from Nicolas. So Nicolas.
Hi,
so
everyone.
You left the consulting business and decided to follow your passion in a very specific niche area. So please tell us about how is it to live a successful career and try this startup in France, Nicolas.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for the opportunity to share my experience. I'd like to say it's a real pleasure to be back with my friends of EMiLUX, and I hope that the attendees will be very happy to hear about these 4 very different experience of entrepreneurship. So as you said, my journey to entrepreneurship is a pretty long journey. I've had a first big phase of my career in consulting firms for almost 20 years, 18 years exactly. I would say that there are two phases in this career. The first I would say the first 10 years, trying to be the best consultant possible. Working mainly on strategic and organizational issues mainly for big companies, for banks, and for administrations as well. So this, I would say, this has been the first 10 years of my career in these consulting companies. Then for another big period of, I would say, 7-8 years, I've been doing what I would call now intrapreneurship, trying to open new territories in this consulting business with new offers and new also geographies. I've been working a lot in Eastern Europe. I've been working a lot lately in Africa as well, but still in this consulting business, dealing with strategic and organizational issues. And I would say an event changed this journey, this trajectory. I met a guy, I would say 3-4 years ago. He's an artisan based in Normandy. He's one of the best manufacturer of furniture and tapestry and furniture. He's working for big palace, for wealthy people, for decorators. And at that time, he was looking for someone to take care of his atelier because he retired. This is the end of this story for him. We didn't do this together, but it was a new beginning for me because I discovered a new reality, the reality of the French artisans in France. And this made me very passionate and very curious. So what I saw from this point, I met, I would say, something like 100 different artisans since these days for the last 4 or 5 years. And it's a very contrasted reality. On one side, they have among the best capacity, the best knowledge. They are able to make the best products. They are very well recognized in all the world. There's this image of luxury, savoir-vivre à la française, which is very linked to this French patrimony and to these artisans. But on the other hand, most of them are in a very struggling reality because this is mainly a very small atelier, very fragile. The economic situation doesn't help for most of them. It's a tough fight to get new clients and to renew their portfolio of clients. So on one side, we have some amazing know-how, which make most of the people dream about. If we see roughly, we have this level of artisan, mainly in Italy and in France. So this is a dream part of the picture. But the business reality is that most of them are struggling a lot to survive. And I thought that it's a pity for having spent so many years to help big companies to succeed, to reinvent themselves, to find new markets. It's a pity not to invest more for these artisans, which I felt more and more passionate about. So I decided 2 years ago to stop this consulting activity and to give a try in this artisans business. So this is at that time that I came across you and the EMiLUX program, and it was like an accelerator for my project. Where am I now? It's the idea is I'm not going to be an artisan myself. I should have started that a long time ago. But I think, and the experience proved that I can provide them some useful tools to help them to succeed. A lot of these French ateliers d'art, they exist for decades and centuries now. But each new generation in this business has had to reinvent itself. Even when Louis XIV did Versailles, he didn't want to copy what was used to be done by his father or his grandfather. Each new generation has to reinvent the business, what the clients wants, what makes the clients dream, and how to continue this story. And I think that the artisans now, they face too many issues. Of course, they need to keep the know-how, but at the same time, the business, the commercial issue is getting much and much more difficult than before because their clients, they are not more in France. We need to go abroad to find the clients, to go in the United States, to go in the Gulf region, to go in Asia, and so on. And also, it's getting more and more difficult to manage the day-to-day activity in the atelier, to find new people, to teach them the know-how, to organize the things and to organize the activity. So the idea of my company, which I launched only in last January, was to help the artisan to concentrate on the know-how, on the business in the atelier, and I will help him on the other dimensions. I will help him on the business development issues, and I will help him as well on being more efficient in his day-to-day activities. So this is the purpose of this Des Moulins à Paris, which is nothing else than me at this time, trying to bring value in this market. And so the last picture, the next one, yes, it says where I am now. So I started this in last January. After a long time of, I would say, incubation with my friends of EMiLUX and with you, Ashok, as well, in order to shape a very sharp idea and to impact, to have the most chances to impact really the market. So I am now in the step 1 of this adventure, and as of today, I'm providing consulting services to this atelier d'art. So of course, the COVID is making the time difficult for me, but also very much difficult for the atelier as well, because the business was not easy and it's not making it easier at all. But fortunately, I see that the value I propose is of great interest for many ateliers d'art. So I've thank God a lot of activity and business on this first step, which is just to provide these consulting services on business development, on product development as well, and the efficiency of the atelier. But as I said, I think the context, the economic context, is going to also to be it's a big threat for me and for the artisan, but it may also be a great opportunity, and I see it as of today as an opportunity to accelerate my business. And I'm actually working on the second step, which would be to change the scale of the value I can bring to atelier. A lot of them are not only struggling, but are in very deep difficulties to economic difficulties now, and are looking for partnership, for people ready to put money in the atelier and to help them to take over the atelier. And this is where I am now. So it's not, I mean, a reality today, but I have a lot of projects and contacts in this direction, which would be to create like a network of ateliers d'art working together in a single umbrella, which would provide them resources to develop and to run their business. And the target, I would say, in 2 to maybe 6 years would be to create this network of, I would say, 5 to 10 ateliers d'art working together, and hopefully successfully. That's where I am now.
So thank you, Nicolas. It's very interesting to see your last slide, because you created and you found a gap in the market, you know. So the market existed. People were buying chairs, people were buying furniture, people were buying things which were antique, and then they used to remake it, and they used to find it the French savoir-faire, the French way of living, the Italian way of living. But the people, as I experienced myself, we can't find people, you know, to do this work. But the people also don't find work. So there is this gap which has been created where we need people to work, but there are no people to work. But when there are people to work, they don't find work. So you have found this niche, which is an opportunity. I think when you first discussed this idea in the EMiLUX program, we found that it is very interesting that maybe this could be a way where we can support, you can support, or we can support the people who are trained in this business. And as you know, and as we have discussed and with all of you, is that Italy and France have created this type of schools now, where they are going to train the people who are craftsmen, who are working in small factories, which are the ateliers in France, so that they do not forget what they used to know for hundreds of years. And since people are not going in this direction, this could be an interesting opportunity in this time when people are thinking what to do, how to do, and it could be a great advantage. So this gives me a great break from what we do in France to what we are doing in Italy with Sarah. Sarah is an architect and designer, and Sarah is doing similar things, which is something with her architectural background. So Sarah, you have an architectural background and you are working in an international environment. From your initial ideas and working abroad, how did you overcome the challenge to implement your idea, which you can share with us? And what was the impact of COVID in your business model? Is it a challenge or an opportunity for you? Sarah.
Thank you, Ashok. Thank you for the invitation. And also very good to be after Nicolas, since, I mean, we have common traits in our business idea that it's nice to see, I mean, from a French perspective and to an Italian one. Well, I will start with a few words about my background. I'm Italian, I'm an architect, and well, along my life and my career, I've been always moved by a strong passion for art, architecture, and design. And in particular, I've been always trying to investigate somehow the confluence between all these aspects of creative field, because of course art and creativity is a very fluid field, and somehow each of these are source of inspiration for each other, or at least it was for me along my my career in the architecture and creative field. Additionally, talking about myself, I would say that I'm really devoted to my roots. Somehow being born and raised in Rome makes me really used to be exposed to art and culture, and this also was really impactful in my background. Well, on the other hand, I've been always interested and passionate about other culture and other countries. And thanks to my job, I had the chance to live and work abroad. Well, in particular, as an architect, I work in international companies such as Fuchs and Graft. You can go on maybe with the next slide. With these two companies, I had the chance to work and travel between US, Europe and China. In particular, with Fuchs, I was in charge of the development of the new flagship store in Fifth Avenue, Armani Fifth Avenue. And talking again about retail in Rome, I developed with Fuchs again the flagship of Benetton in the city center, really a few meters away from Spanish Steps, really in the heart of the historical city center. I also had the chance to work in big scale projects such as the Shenzhen International Airport. I was in charge of leading the team of the project, and this was my link to China. In fact, after the handover of this project, I left Fuchs and I moved to China, where I lived for 6 years, and I worked for Graft in Beijing. With this German-American company based in Beijing, I had the chance to deep my knowledge of luxury residential, luxury hospitality, and retail. And the reason why, well, these are just a selection of the many projects I had the chance to work in, and the link between all these projects is actually that most of the clients behind this project are related to a quite high, let's say, positioning in the market. And well, what happened to me when I was working on this project is that while I was involved in this project, I was constantly asked as Italian to make a selection among the top quality finishing, the top quality research in terms of design, the top quality product in terms of handmade furniture. So in one word, even working in non-Italian companies and abroad, I was always asked to select the top of the made in Italy. So in one word, I was kind of representing abroad made in Italy. So it is actually strange because this should be, I mean, common for Italians, but I realized that as it happened when you need to have the right distance to put an object in focus, I actually realized the importance of made in Italy just when I was really far away from Italy, and I understood how still impactful is on the design business, on the design market, the brand made in Italy, and all the research still going on around design materials and many other things. Following this consideration, somehow I took a decision. I decided to undertake a new path, and I left big scale architecture offices, and I moved to a more boutique studio scale, and I founded in Beijing Micro Macro, which is a company focusing on a small studio focusing on the product design. Maybe you can go back. Focusing on product design, interiors, and just later on consultancies for luxury brands. Well, with Micro Macro, my ambition was somehow to reach a niche of high-end market, let's say a niche of clients that are able to appreciate handmade quality products and interiors. So following my experience with the appreciation and the impact of the made in Italy quality, I tried to transfer this knowledge into a more, let's say, small scale business. Well, to respond to this ambition, I have to say that in few years I realized that I really needed somehow to combine my creative background with a more business mindset. And not only that, also I realized that I needed a deeper understanding of the luxury industry, of the luxury market. That, I mean, as you know and as you teach, as a completely different set of rules compared with the other markets. And from there, the decision for me to join the EMiLUX program. And I can witness that, I mean, along the course, I was able to get a very rich overview of the luxury sector. And also, this is very important, I was also able to learn a lot from my classmates that already were working in the businesses, and really strong experience to share. Okay, and what happened? Basically, the initial ideas of micro macro was somehow transformed and scaled into something different, related to something similar to what Nicolas was talking about, so the artisanal world. So the business idea that I developed thanks to EMiLUX is Atelier Italia, which is focusing on the confluence between contemporary product design and traditional luxury craftsmanship. So you can move the slide on. So the point is to work on the excellence of the Italian craftsmanship, to realize very contemporary pieces of design, going from home decor to lighting to furniture. But without going too much into the detail of the business model, the strong idea behind Atelier Italia is to combine the product with a very strong customer experience. So basically the idea that we have developed, myself and my team, was to actually build a tailor-made journey for the client in the territories, in the districts where these artisans are coming from. So really to involve them not only in the manufacturing process, visiting the atelier, but also to show them how these craftsmanship roots were born, and what are the stories behind the artisans and the territories. So it's really like the idea is really to combine experience and product, so to make like a very composite selling proposition, combining experience and product. I'm talking about hospitality, I'm talking about food and beverage, I'm talking about art and culture. So really to define a tailor-made physical journey for our clients that are going to not just buy a product, but really to combine memories and knowledge about the Italian territories. So in one word, really to build a story behind the product, which is really the Italian beauty 360 degrees. Okay, very nice, very good, very ambitious, and we've been working a lot on it, and we were trying to move the first steps and to find investors, and really to start the first steps in the preparation phase. And then what happened? COVID. Okay, what are the industries that are, let's say, most affected by COVID? Travel and hospitality. So travel industry, it has lost like 90% of the market, and hospitality the same, and we don't know yet when this is going to be recovered. And so we sit down again with the team, and we thought, shall we wait or shall we do something different? Okay, we decided to make a completely turnaround of our business model. And somehow what we did is like scaling down the initial business model idea But very important, we did not give up the idea of putting together experience and product. What we did is, okay, we're not able to bring people to the territories. We're not able to let them experience in reality the beauty. Okay, we will bring the beauty to their home. So the idea was to create a digital platform that together with the showcase of our product design is also telling about the artisan stories, the art and cultural events, the festival, the music festival, the cinema festival that are going around in each and every small town in Italy, and also put the focus on the hospitality gem, let's say the boutique scale hotel, the Relais Chateau, all these beautiful destinations that are strongly related with the tradition of the Italian territories. So we are now in the phase of start again with a new business model, trying to put together our design and the experience of the territories in a digital way.
Thank you, Sarah. I think what you say is felt by most of the companies in the world today. Today morning, I spoke with L'Oreal in Lebanon, and the general manager was speaking exactly about this, that they have to invent, they have to reinvent, recreate the business model again and again. And what I told him, and I'm telling it to every one of you, that for me, the 4th of November today is a key date, because after the US elections, I think things will be much clearer in both the political, geopolitical situation and the health crisis. This is my feeling, and I think you can hold me on this within the next 48 hours. I think this is the turning point where we'll see again something improving at this point of time. And this we come to, and with this there's a transition to Arturo, whose main business is in the US, but he's from Mexico. So Arturo's question is very simple, is how do you run your successful business from scratch and developing it all over the world? And what do you think of the new business model and the models in the luxury and fashion business, especially to your area? And how do you do business from Mexico, and while most of your business is in the US? So how are you giving back? Arturo.
Hello, thank you, Ashok. Hello, everybody. Good morning from Mexico. Can you go to the next slide, please? I want to summarize 24 years of business in this next slide, which is start with this product in my mother's kitchen, and then we launch this. So stop there, please, Ashok. So that two products where we start, and as you can see, that doesn't have any luxury at all, and we've been struggling for the first 3 years. Then next, please. We upgrade the packaging of the first one, and then we upgrade the packaging of the second one. So there's where we get into the ceramic work. With that two things, after the first 3 years, we realized that adding value to the product will give us the chance to compete in a different segment, in a niche. Not in a luxury yet, but we can see the upgrade of our own, I will say, not the temptation of the volume. So next slide, please. That is the first ugly bottle that we create from Clase Azul. That was something that it was half of the production leak. It was difficult to pour. Next, please. Then we decided not to keep doing that brand. So that was a really difficult situation for us in the, I will say, in the year 2002, killing a brand in order to focus on luxury. So that's when we upgrade our bottle of Clase Azul. Then we upgrade the bottle of La Pinta. Next one, please. And then we are the company that we are right now. It seems, next one, please. So that is where we upgrade our bottle, and then the next one is where we are as a company. Now we are selling to 45 different countries. We have offices in US, in San Francisco, New York. We integrate the whole chain of value, and every single thing that we're doing, it's tied by our purpose. We decided to read off mission statement and vision statement. We have a purpose and we have values. So we exist to captivate the world through the magic of Mexican culture, transforming ourselves through a positive human engagement. That is, I think, the most valuable thing that I can tell to everybody when you are trying to build a company. People, can you go back, please, Chuck? Sorry, can someone mute their phone on the back? I've been hearing some noise. Thank you so much. So the purpose, it's related to people, and people is what makes companies. It's not about the brands, it's not about the margins, it's not about the techniques, it's about people. In luxury, it's much more valuable than that. So we as a company being growing from inside out, we are now the 15th company as a best place to work in Mexico. So we have a big value of manufacturing in Mexico and selling mostly in US. So we have the only spirit company in Latin America who has the positive luxury, which is brands focused into sustainability. And we are in the top 10 ranking companies in Mexico. Next one, please. So how we give back is a challenge. Can you go to the next one, please, Ashok? And why a challenge? Because money is not the solution. The previous one. You are discovering my surprise earlier, Ashok.
Yeah. So which one? You want me to be here?
There, please.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So giving back. So giving back, it's a challenge because it's not just about money. Money can solve problems. And we choose two different areas to give back. One is the nonprofit focusing on artisans in Mexico. And what we can find there is the people in Mexico are artisans because they love what they do, but they are very stubborn and they don't want to bring new ideas or design or techniques. And also because of the scaling of the markets, there are so many middlemen which are making their profits minimal, and they don't know how to cost their jobs or commercialize. So we built this nonprofit organization in 2014, and we help them in different areas, mostly to protect them or protect their art and help them to sell directly to the final consumers. The other way to give back is through football. I love football, I play football, and in every single part of the world, you will see a kid trying to become professional in soccer. So how do we organize this structure is to buy a professional franchise in second division and third division, and we have also fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth division, which means that more than 300 different kids. But in second division and third division, we're professional, and we choose kids where, and I say kids because they come from 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, and every single one was put into classes to learn. Not every single one in schools, in formal schools, because some of them doesn't has elementary elementary or high school done. So what we are trying is to teach them certain things, because the professional way that the soccer players went through their life is very frustrating. Less than 0.01% of the people who was giving their lives to soccer become professional. And some of them become professionals and they don't know how to react with fame and money. So we're teaching them to become better human beings through soccer. That's how we are giving back. And the next slide, please, Ashok, is that we as a company, we're trying to become the first Mexican luxury house. And that means that we are taking our tequila brand and mezcal brand, not to acquire more different alcohol brands. And instead of that, we are going to take the same brand, Clase Azul, to different industries. Next slide, and I can show the first industry that we are now is hospitality. We're building our new hacienda. We have our clubhouse in on the top left. That is our boutique. So we went from business to business to business to consumer. We have that. It's the most it's a great offering. We keep doing innovation. As you can see, the bottles, those are limited editions. Every quarter we bring a new bottle, and it's limited. On the down left is our hacienda. So we are building a unique destination, and on the right down you can see our clubhouse in New York. So all these things are showing how we are moving from being a tequila producer to be a luxury Mexican house. And that's it, Ashok.
So thank you, Arturo. So I just saw this word bhag, you know, do you know there is a Hindi word in bhag, Indian language, which means run.
Which means what?
Which means run.
What?
Running, you run. So bhag means you run.
Okay.
Okay, so I thought that it's a very interesting, very nice way of putting big, hairy, audacious goal, which is to run, you know, but I'll tell you later on after offline, what does it mean in Hindi. Okay, so thank you very much. So this is the story from Arturo's business, which is in Mexico, but mostly all over the world, and especially in the US. So now to conclude, we have some minutes left. To conclude, I think the predictions still are the same, which I did 2 months before, which is this is an unprecedented global crisis. There is an economic crisis and there is a health crisis. So both are together this time. Usually one happens, it's not together, but today it is linked. The crisis is no doubt larger than all previous crises by any standards, more in the range of 30 to 35% loss in 2020, more like a gap year, which people have tried to see by quarter, and this quarter maybe it is a little improving in some parts of the world because all the parts of the world are not similarly affected. So in some parts it's a V-shaped or a U-shaped or a Nike swoosh-shaped recovery, and it's a question how it is in different parts of the world. For example, in continental Europe, in France, UK, Germany, Spain, there is a 1-month lockdown now. So though the essential items are open, non-essential items such as luxury goods and the fashion houses are closed. So this is of course something to ponder upon, and if it will happen, reoccur again and again, but what is the way out? So another variable is health and emotions. So as we see and as we read that all the companies are trying to have different ways to speak to their employees who are at home, who is working from home. So there is something called CASH, which is knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits. So this is shifting dramatically. So knowledge needs to be upgraded, attitude needs to be upgraded, skill set, people are trying to upgrade the skills, and also habits, which we spoke about when we spoke about with Sarah and with Nicola, that people want to do things but in a different way, and with Mulham, who is thinking about soccer in a different way, linking it to what he did before. So habits are changing because of both the economic and the pandemic crisis. There is also a sense of insecurity and anxiety. So every one of us are insecure at some point of time. We are thinking how to go out, maybe what to do, whether we will take the plane or not, etc., etc. And then recovery more of a 2-year horizon. So this is why if it starts now, by 2021 end, I think we are in a new position, and this is the time to start. And then I have taken this from computer science jargon. So fast in, fast out, last in, fast out, and fast in, last out is the question, which means that who will survive at this point of time. So these are the predictions, and this is very critical for not only big businesses but also more or small businesses. And the actions may be renew and re-engage in relationships and experiences. This is a niche area where people are talking about experiences. Another niche area is use data to see trends and gaps in proven business models, which is Nicola's model. which is also a model which Mulham is trying to follow. Identify and find niches in the value chain that creates new opportunities. This is, I think, a model which Arturo and also Nicola uses. Harness and engage the power of e-commerce. This is exactly what Sarah was speaking about, to move products and preferences, because once you have a plan, you have to change the plan. And today, the only way to do it is through e-commerce, maybe. Of course, there are bricks and mortars will be back, I'm sure. Niches exist in customized attention to all loyal clients and rewards for loyalty, which means that if you have customized clients, there will be people who will come back to you because they remember the experiences which was before, but then you have to create something new. It was Nicola's point when he said that every atelier is creating something new. No one wants to copy what was done by their forefathers. So this is where reward is there at the end. And social media, handheld devices, mobile apps are increasing. So everyone wants to be on those because that is the way to communicate at this present point of time. And this won't change in the near future. And for me, in an optimistic note, opportunities are around the corner. And I think that after today, we will see a new world that is approaching, because many things will be clear after today when we see what is the way ahead. Just as a concluding slide, I would like to say that strategy, because I'm a global strategy professor, when we talk about design and process, so we can plan many things, which is intended strategy, but actually things are not the way we plan. So this is called emergent strategy. We saw that in Mulham's case, we saw that in Nicola's case, we saw that in Sarah's case, and I think Arturo is way above in this business, so that he has hedges. He is hedging his business in different ways. But of course, there is an emergent strategy which needs to be always thought about. So we try to predict, we try to be agile, we try to formalize, but maybe these are some things which we need to think about and mix both the types of strategies at the minimum. Last slide of mine is the opportunities, So I have found like 4 opportunities in the new trends. So if anyone wants to be in this opportunity, they are welcome. This is for free, fashion and luxury platforms, they are booming. YNAB, Farfetch, 24S, matchesfashion.com, JD.com, they are all making exceptional business. Even Alibaba is making exceptional business. Amazon is making exceptional business. So we don't want to be Amazon immediately, but there are ways to find this niche. D2C is something which is important. Sarah said that D2C is important. Mulham is saying D2C is important. Nicola is saying D2C is important. It is direct to consumer, because if you are staying home, how would you reach them? So the business has to reach the people who are staying home, and by any means, by any channels. Last is people are cautious, so they rent, they resell. So this is another wave. Today we published a case on the Real, which is talking about the circular economy, which means that this is something which people are thinking about. And there are pros and cons of this model, but and we see that in the real business. And of course, there are business adoption models where there is virtual, mobile, social, transactional, information, and retail. So I won't go into details, but there are trends and there are business adoption models, which we spoke about in the first slide, that we can find the gap between this and can find an idea which could be in the domain, not only in this, in the creative industry domain, may not be in the luxury space or in the fashion space, but in a way where we can reach the customers. Thank you very much. I think we are just in time. I am just over time. If you have any questions, we can just take them very quickly, and then we can stop our. No, I think it's better to tell the question.
How will you market the new concept in France? If it's a Syrian dish cuisine, who will be your competitor with the wine? Okay, so number one, the question is, how will you market the new concept in France if it is a Syrian dish cuisine? Here in France, we have like the neighborhood. It's the Montmartre. It's a beautiful village in Paris. It's like the 18th arrondissement. Here, like I have the map of the restaurants in this neighborhood. most of the restaurants are international. So we have Afghan restaurant, we have Italian, Lebanese, Romanian. We have everything. We have Argentinian. So the idea, people here want to try different things. So yes, one is like a B2C too, because I'm trying to deliver my vegan food to big companies, banks, the offices, so they can have once a week as a Syrian dish, like a Syrian vegan dish. Regarding the wine, the Lebanese, yes, actually, like I'm in France, so like this is the country of wine. So so I'm not competing with the French wine. I'm trying to deliver a new type of wine. The idea I discussed with Ashok last time, maybe we this La Maison du Knafe, we can transfer it a little bit to bar à vin. So this will be wine bar when people can come and try wine from Middle East. So we'll have Lebanese wine, Syrian, Turkish, Israeli maybe. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Question for Nicola?
Yes, there's a question for Nicola. I'll read it out for you. Do you plan to scale your company abroad? If yes, what are your plans and your step-by-step action plan?
Okay, it's a tough question. I would say that the concept of my company is to defend the French artisan. So in this, I mean, in this, considering this, I'm only going to concentrate on the network of French artisans. And it's there's already a huge lot to do with them. But another way to answer this question, that's a key, I mean, area for business development for these artisans are the export, of course. The wealthy luxury markets, many areas in the world are very fond of French products. I think about the US, of course. I think about Asia, China, Japan, and also, of course, the Gulf countries. So in this, considering this, I mean, we are constantly looking for solutions with ambassadors to promote this French savoir-faire and to create business links with these international clients. Okay, and when? Now, starting day one.
Great. There is a question for Sarah about crowdfunding, and have you thought of using a crowdfunding platform?
Well, I would say that in the initial idea, in the initial business model, which was more ambitious, we thought since the beginning to look for venture capital. In this new business model, which is somehow a scaled down version, so smaller and I would say more sustainable, we may also think about that. So this is something that we are investigating now.
And for Ashok, a continued question about crowdfunding. What do you think about crowdfunding platforms for a new luxury brand?
Yeah, so I think there are opportunities everywhere, and crowdfunding is something which is happening in different sectors. The only question is there are Kickstarters, there are other crowdfunding platforms already exist. So if there is something very specific, I think that it's a possibility, but of course the value proposition has to be clear upfront.
Right. A question for Arturo. In what way did the ESSEC education, the theoretical part mainly, help you in your business and developing your business idea?
Great question. So it was amazing for me to learn the pillars of a luxury brand or a luxury company. So there are some ideas of luxury, like exclusivity, like high quality, like I will say heritage. But the pillars, things that you must have in order to compete in the luxury market, like being integrated, your chain of value being integrated, linked with artisans, being rooted in a culture, have or expertise in business to consumer. So being a contact direct with consumers. All those things were something that I learned in ESSEC, which was an amazing thing.
Thank you. Nicola, there's another question for you about the valuation of companies in the handicraft industry. What do you think about it, and what makes you think of yourself as an artisan?
That's a that's a tricky question, I would say. I think there's I mean, it's not a typical classical investment. You need to have a long-term vision to invest in this atelier. They are producing amazing value, but it's an amazing long-term value. And I think this is something I'm struggling for. I mean, every day it's like to take over an atelier. Sometimes it's a small atelier and it's okay. When it's a big atelier, I need to find partners and finance partners. And it's a difficult point that we address almost every time. You can build an incredible story, and I mean, Hermès is an incredible story. LVMH has an amazing number of incredible stories. So we can easily prove that we bring value, but we need to provide a constant effort throughout the years, and the return for investment is I would say it's certain, but it's not a short-term one. So you need to have a vision. You need to be constant throughout the time, and a good way to swallow this pill is to have passion. If you have passion, then this question of returns on investment is a very small question, but it is a question I have to say. Yeah, and I would be happy to discuss this furthermore with you after the call.
Thank you. There's another question
There's
the question for Arturo. Arturo, what are the biggest challenges you faced in doing business in Latin America? And did you also change your recipes, or you use branding and your value of the product to launch the product in different regions?
So we don't do business in Latin America. We mostly do business in North America. So we are facing challenges in Mexico to sell our product for two different reasons. There are so many tequila brands here, and the taxes are very high, and it's those taxes are related to the cost of the product or the price of the product. So because of our product is handmade, it's a ceramic, or taxes make our bottle unpayable in Mexico. So that's why we produce in Mexico and we sell in North America, Europe, and we just opened the office in Tokyo. And the second question is, the second question is, you change the recipes of the products, only focus on positioning the brand through marketing and values. I don't understand.
Basically, they're asking if you changed the recipes according to the regions you were going into, or did you mainly focus on branding and marketing to promote your product?
Yeah, we focus on quality more than marketing, and we are using the word of mouth as a more powerful tool to keep growing. Marketing and branding is something that I define as the DNA of our brand, but we don't use that just to make sales. Sales comes from word of mouth and from quality, and we don't change recipes depending on the market.
Great, thank you. There is a question for you, Sarah, and actually anyone else also can join in and to answer the question. It's from Cosimo, who is an entrepreneur himself and is working on a project to build exclusive shoes with jewelry. And he wants to know how much time have you spent working on the value proposition and business model? Do you have some general advice for him?
Well, for sure, value proposition and business model were the key in the development of my project. So it was really the most discussed topic during the developing of the project. well, the value proposition was clear also thanks to let's say the background of the team I was working with. The business model was more tough, let's say, because most of the people understood the quality of the idea and the potential of the idea, but sustainability was the key, because when you want to position yourself very high but you don't have already a brand awareness, of course you need to understand how to reach that positioning and how to be sustainable along the way until, I mean, in order to avoid to, you know, to stop before even starting. So of course it's crucial to concentrate on the business model, and at first on the sustainability on the first steps, on the first phase.
Anyone else wants to add?
Maybe I can just add, yes, one point on this question. I think it can be also a never-ending story to spend all the time doing the think and not enough to do the test. From my personal experience, I think the faster you go and check the potential on the ground with the clients, with the potential partners, the more efficient you will be. Otherwise, it's a never-ending story. You will always find a way to be smarter, to be more something and more like that, and never start the business. So I think if you believe in your idea, go and test it, and then you will, from the feedback of the market, the partners, then you will get some consistent elements for your reflections. Personal.
Thank you so much. So there were a few other questions, and actually they're asking to get in touch with you guys. I would suggest to note down their names and write to them on LinkedIn, connect with them on LinkedIn if they are okay with it as well. And for Nicola specifically, you have someone who's looking to invest as well. So I put it on the chat. I'll share the name with you. And all the best. Thank you. I'll leave the floor to Ashok.
Thank you.
I think, yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for this organizing, Kanika, for organizing this ESSEC Executive Education, and thank you for promoting our alumni. And I think it's a very good way to reach out to people when we are at home, to see what they're doing, how they're doing, create new ideas, and see what are things happening in all parts of the world. We are connected from today from France, from Mexico, from Italy, and last time when we did the webinar, I think we were from Malaysia, Italy, US, and I think Dubai maybe. So it gives us great way of connecting to our alumni across the world, and also to promote and see what is happening so that we keep in touch. So keep in touch and we see what happens in the next few months. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.